I'm Rebecca Eunice, a semantic web developer at Cornell University Library working on linked data for libraries labs, a project funded by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. This video introduces you to ingest of instance data in VitroLib. We're starting with a VitroLib instance that has been configured and has the ontology loaded into it, but no instance data. If I visit the index page, for instance, which provides a list of all the classes that are populated with instance data, you'll see that it reports that there is no content. Similarly, for the menu pages, which display a list of individuals of the specified types, you can see that there are no works, no instances, no items, people, or organizations. There are two ways to add instance data to VitroLib: by bulk ingest or by manual editing. Bulk ingest is most appropriate for adding large amounts of instance data at once, and this is the topic of this video. A subsequent video will cover manual editing. I'm already logged in, so I'll visit the site admin page using the link in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. The site admin page displays only the links that you're allowed to access based on your role. In order to use advanced data tools, such as adding and removing RDF, you must have a site admin role. If you don't have this role, you won't be shown the set of links under the sections Advanced Data Tools and Site Maintenance. Here, I've logged in with a site admin account, so I have access to these functions. Under the section Advanced Data Tools, I select Add Remove RDF Data. Here, I can enter a URL to ingest data from a web resource, or select a file on my computer. I'm going to demonstrate the latter. To give you a view of the file I'll be ingesting, this is an N-triples file with 29 sample records from the Cornell University Library catalog converted to the Linked Data for Libraries version 1 ontology. Now I'm going to select this file. As you look at the set of radio buttons, you can see that this form is also used to ingest ontology data. But VitroLib is configured to load the ontology at startup. I could use this form later to ingest additional ontology data, such as the LD4P ontology extensions. The process is the same as for instance data ingest. I can also use this form to remove data, which I'll demonstrate later. I select the first button since I'm adding only instance data. Then I choose the file of the format of the file I'm ingesting, which in this case is N-triples. I ignore the checkbox for creating class groups, which is relevant only to ontology data, and I submit the form. Depending on the size of the file, it may take some time to ingest all the data. For this data set of 29 catalog records, for example, it may take up to 1 or 2 minutes to complete the ingest on my MacBook Pro. So if the ingest on a large file takes several minutes, you should generally not be concerned. One reason the process takes longer than you might expect is that in addition to loading the triples into the triple store, VitroLib recomputes inferences and rebuilds the search index as it ingests the data. Finally, I get a message on the screen indicating that the upload was successful, or an error if it wasn't. Some of the data displayed in VitroLib, such as on the index page or the menu pages that we looked at, is pulled from the search index rather than directly querying the triple store. Because VitroLib may report that the ingest is complete slightly before the search index has been rebuilt, if you visit one of these pages immediately after ingest is complete, you might find that no data is displayed. In this case, the search index did get rebuilt promptly, so we see the data as soon as we visit the pages. If not, the index page would look like this, with a link to check the status of the rebuild. By looking at the top line of the progress report, we see that there are no remaining statements to process and that the reindexing is complete. Currently in VitroLib, the RDFS label value is crucial to the display name of an individual in almost every context. We'll see this in more detail in the data browsing video, but just to show a few of these contexts, the list of individuals on a menu page, at the top of an individual profile, and other related individuals listed on the page, and so on. These are all displayed with their RDFS label value. In the absence of an RDFS label, the individual will display with its local name. For example, this person has no RDFS label, so the local name is displayed instead. What this means is that if you want your data to display in a user-friendly and meaningful way, you should ensure that each entity has an appropriate RDFS label value in the file you're ingesting. The choice of a meaningful RDFS label will vary by type. For example, the title for a work, the name for a person, and so on. This applies only to ingested data. As we'll see in the video on manual editing, VitroLib automatically supplies the RDFS label based on the information entered into the editing form. Next, I'm going to show you how to remove the same instance data to start fresh with a clean system. I return to the site admin page and to the Add Remove RDF data form. This time, I'll submit the same file, but I'll select Remove Mixed RDF. I'll choose the file format again and submit the form. Once again, not only is VitroLib removing the triples in the file from the triple store, it's calculating which related triples, if any, should also be removed, recomputing inferences, and updating the search index, so the process may again take a noticeable amount of time. I get a message on the screen when the process is complete with a report of how many triples have been removed. This time, if we go back to the index page or to the menu pages, it appears that the data, at least some of it, is still in the system. Once again, VitroLib needs additional time to complete the rebuild of the search index. We can check the status of the rebuild from the site admin page under Rebuild Search Index. The last index was completed at 2:19 p.m., which was when the data was ingested a few minutes ago. It's now 2:23, so the current rebuild is not yet complete. Once the reindexing is complete, we see that all statements have been processed. We can return to the index page, and this time, as expected, the data is no longer in the system, and similarly for the menu pages. This concludes our overview of instance data ingest in VitroLib.